It's 2024, which means new maps, co-op multiplayer, and tons of new updates since its launch back in 2020. Yep, it was that long ago. So, how does Medieval Dynasty hold up 4 years later? The year was 2020. Life was very much as usual. Nothing weird was going on in the world at all. After a huge year of medieval greatness that came in the form of Mount & Blade 2 Belmont's release, a new open world game was announced and was on its way. So in September of that year, Medieval Dynasty was released. It was a different kind of game though. There wasn't the same expectation to be this noble warrior or lord. You were just a lowly peasant, thrust into the land with nothing but your hands and, well, the ability to jump.
Oh, I've got legs. I've got hands. I can jump. Crouch. I'm alive. I'm a real medieval boy.
You okay, boy?
Where are we? Gostovia.
The aim? To set up and found your own village. Build blacksmiths, farms, infrastructure, and eventually gain experience in recruiting other people to said village. Growing it into a town, maybe marry a woman, have a child, hopefully not get into any bandit trouble, and start your medieval dynasty. Okay, it's pretty much self-explanatory in the name. The game now has somewhat evolved its storytelling, but back upon its early access missions, it was very linear. Meeting up with Unigost at the start, he sets an edict for you to go and find somewhere to settle. And this is where we encounter, for the first time, Medieval Dynasty's building mechanic. It actually shares a lot of similarities with the 2014 survival game, The Forest. Choosing a blueprint to set down and you have these ghostly blue tiles. You collect the right resources and slowly but surely build up the structures. I genuinely think it was a good balance for feeling like you're doing an actual task but not completely grinding you out so you're completely burnt out of the game. I mean, we've had plenty of experience with titles like that. Crafting works pretty much as you'd expect in a game like this. Get the resources, hit the segment on the wheel, and after a few seconds your axe and hammer are sorted ready for use. They do, at least at the start, have pretty weak durability, so you're going to be spending a lot of time cutting down trees, foraging for sticks and stones, just to replace these tools. But all in all, there was really a solid base for building in Medieval Dynasty, and I think that's the best way to describe the game. Medieval Dynasty didn't break any ground. There wasn't anything particularly special about it, especially as an open world survival, but the base that it set for everything to build upon was really solid. Okay, it wasn't without its issues. The missions felt kind of boring, and I get it. It wasn't supposed to be a story-driven title. This was an open world where you go out into the land and build and settle yourself, but having good missions and a good story to build up the lore of this world is always important, and I think that was kind of lacking within this title.
You can live your life as just a medieval guy. He don't want no hassle. He just wants to live his life. Oh, hello there. Oh, hello. I can buy you. I mean, I doubt I have the money to, but I can buy you.
I mean, a lot of the missions include things like chopping down trees. No, I don't want to be doing that. I also don't want to fight some boar with really clunky combat system, and I definitely don't want to have to walk 20 minutes across the map to find a man in a forest cabin just so he can tell me to walk back the way I came. Yes, these are all missions within Medieval Dynasty. The UI as well, and I think I mentioned this at the time, felt like it was definitely built for console, which, you know, isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's a strange choice because upon its early access release within 2020, Medieval Dynasty was PC only. The selection wheel, you know, the one where you choose things to craft and build, that is just made for a controller, surely. Also, not being able to click and drag items across your inventory, I don't understand why the choice was that, but it felt like it was optimized for a controller despite it being, at that point, only used for mouse and keyboard on PC. The map itself, though, was a decent size. With its admittedly limited forms of transport at the time, i.e. there was just walking upon release, it took a while to get across. The stamina system also didn't help, though, stopping you mid-adventure because you sounded like an asthmatic middle-aged man.
Well, well, well.
Your character always sounds so out of breath.
I'm so obese. That's the problem. My character's based on me.
We need to build a chest so you can drop some of your stuff.
The game did have various progression systems, from learning new crafting recipes like traps to leveling up your stamina, building speed, health, so on and so forth. This was all done dynamically through your gameplay and getting XP from it. For example, the more you run about, the fitter you get, much like real life, but without the constant knee injuries. But let's backtrack a little bit. There was also some decent hunter mechanics. I did mention the combat wasn't great, and whilst bandits were something that came in a little bit later, at the start you'd be trying to do a bit of hunting. Now, most of this wasn't with bows or traps because they were later recipes that you had to unlock. So at the start, you'd do the very typical mechanic of crafting 37 wooden spears because, I mean, once you throw one into a deer, they run away with your weapon lodged in their esophagus.
Oh, no! 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 Get away! Yeah. I don't need that running up to me while I'm trying to find stones. Jesus, give me my spears back.
Once building up your town, it's time to start asking people to join. With enough persuasion power, you can get them to come and live with you. The only issue with this, well, now you have more people to feed. And to get them water, and to get firewood so they don't feed to death.
Right, well, I guess we're heading back to our friends now. As you can see in the top left, they are currently dying, starving, homeless, don't have any firewood, and they're pretty sad in general.
Okay, managing a village is much more effort than I thought it would be. Setting villagers to chop wood, but villagers can be very, very useful, and this is where the dynasty part starts to come into it, growing a population. Setting villagers to chop wood for you, hunting animals for food, gather resources, and pretty much any of the boring tasks that you can't be bothered to do yourself. And it works kind of well. It's a little bit fiddly and it takes a lot to set up considering the bad UI design, and it's kind of overwhelming as well. Trying to wrap your head around the many menus to get your village functioning properly and managing everybody so they're doing the right thing is a bit of a faff. But once it's done, my god, does it look really, really cool.
Within Medieval Dynasty, we started to get our updates. The developers were, well, developing fast, and it looked like there'd be plenty of content coming. These guys were not a large team at all. However, one thing they have done fantastically over the last 4 years is bring us plenty of developer blogs, insider videos, and of course, roadmaps to keep us excited of the future. The latest update at the time, or the first one, added in new lighting, fishing, and events. These events were the first look into some extra side missions that you could be working on. But the hints of what was coming on later, new modes of transport, new ways to farm, was very, very near in the future. Bees, trees, and booze. One of the first major updates that came in March of 2021, which of course added the ability to have beekeepers. Not only could you work on this, but recruit villagers to help you do it. Being able to then craft clay in order to, well, harvest your vineyards that you've spent a lot of time planting. This would then be transferred into the tavern where wine, booze, cider could be made. This meant that you could then start having more variety in your village for making people happy because they've got the resources and of course things that make them want to stick around, helping grow your population. This was a really good start, and everything was so well introduced, whether it was the production or whether it was getting the AI in order to do said production for you. Everything felt very, very polished and was a good look into the future from what we'd be getting. Plum wine, pear juice, beer, it was all within there, adding so much more variety to the game.
Hey everyone, it's SK from Topless Productions, and I'm traveling around with my furry companion to bring the good news from village to village and from settlement to settlement, so let's see what we got.
We then got our introduction and our first look at smelting. getting ores and raw resources in order to make them into tools and weapons because, well, PvP was starting to look to be introduced. Whether it was bronze tools or iron, of course, now you could upgrade what you'd previously used. Your wooden tools were almost becoming useless because mines were now being introduced within the game. It was expanding, and not just in terms of the content within it, but of course the map as well, going down below the earth rather than just what we'd experienced before. One huge major update that kind of transformed the way that Medieval Dynasty was played.
And also iron bars. You will be able to use those bars and create a whole set of new weapons and tools. As always, as the village leader, it is up to you what to do with these resources. You can sell them in their final form or at any time along the production cycle, or you just can keep them for yourself and your people.
There was a lot of variation and choice within this. Every product within it is made with resources that go from the initial ore to the final stop. You could sell them from any stage, from your iron ingots to a full iron shovel. That was a very strange example, but you know what I mean. The new companion of the donkey was also very useful. Being over encumbered and having, well, too many things in your inventory is always a pain, especially if you wanted to go on large journeys. So having a donkey that can now carry this stuff for you, it was a fantastic addition. In July of the same year, we saw an introduction of relationships. Now, not only could players completely destroy their self-confidence in the real world, but they could destroy any sort of chance of getting a wife in a virtual world. Perfect for a medieval gamers fan. Being able to build your own shops was a nice addition, selling all the resources and, well, the things you'd crafted in previous updates. And a new animal, the lynx, a vicious beast that would gnaw off your legs if you got in the wrong place. One of the larger and more important updates that Medieval Dynasty later brought in was the addition of bandits. Small groups that would settle in the surrounding areas that at certain times would attack you, try and steal your resources, kill your NPCs, and more importantly, kill you. Okay, well, they only came in after a while, so you got your chance to build up your villages before they came and destroyed everything you'd worked for. But once again, this could be turned on and off. I say this is such a big addition was, well, it was the first sign of PvP. Up until this point, Medieval Dynasty was a very peaceful game. Just you, your little village, your people, whether you're crafting, building, chopping down trees. There was a little bit of hunting, but in terms of violence and death, the bandits were really the first sign of that we started to get. But there'd be a lot more coming on with one of the biggest announcements that the game had to offer.
Your character always sounds so out of breath.
I'm so obese. That's the problem. My character's based on me.
We need to build a chest so you can drop some of your stuff.
One of the things that I was looking forward to from the very start, and ever since we got third-person mode, new combat updates with bandits, and of course a console release, the co-op mode was the last thing on my tick list that I needed for this title. And when it came out, it was pretty good. Everything that I kind of expected. You now had this medieval world, whether you were playing peacefully or fighting bandits, even going hunting and building up these huge bases, now you could do it with a friend. But not just one, multiple friends. It was a fantastic addition and added in so much more longevity and showed that these guys knew what they were doing.
Like a challenge.
But get off my stones.
No, my stones.
I will cave your face in.
Oh, wow, just wait, I'll quip a rock. I think I could do that.
Oh, oh my god.
Oh.
There's a wolf somewhere.
Okay, yes, I do, yeah.
There's more wolves in that forest.
Yes. Oh, I see it.
Oh, here it is.
Left.
It's coming. It's
Incoming.
coming for me.
Oh, that's fine. Hang on, I'll save you.
Yeah. Get away.
Hey, that, you wolf bastard. You don't want to turn around. Just run.
Oh my god, it's coming. It's actually coming.
Yeah.
The second one is on its way.
I can't run. I'm
baited
too
by a bear.
fat.
We were actually baited by the bear. I made a joke that the other one was stalking us, and it actually was.
It literally, I popped up right behind you, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to scare you.
Sorry, you are a terrible friend. You saw a bear and you didn't want to scare me, so you just said nothing. Are you mental?
Would you rather die?
No, I won't. I don't want to die.
No. No.
As a small child here, as you can see, this child has just put a statue right. You didn't drink, you idiot.
all along this way and all along the development cycle, Medieval Dynasty has done one fantastic thing, and that's listening to the community. On their roadmaps, they've given promises and every single time have knocked it out of the park. They have delivered on all the things that they promised to put in and are still developing it. From a very small game and admittedly a studio that has had a few flops in the past, Medieval Dynasty seems to be their crown and glory. It is a gem, a diamond in the rough. It came out of nowhere at a time where a new indie studio should not have been able to break out the way it did. But alas, there is still so much more to come. I wonder where it will be in the years after Medieval Dynasty.